Thank you. At each of our January board meetings, the board members take their ceremonial oath of office, and we're going to do that now. If you could please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. And when I say state your name, I mean say your name. Don't repeat that back. I state your name.
Pat Bebock.
Do solemnly
swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of this office
of member of the Board of Education of East China School District
of member of the Board of Education of the East China School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, at each of our January board meetings, the offices of the Board of Education are filled. At this time, may I please have a nomination for the office of School Board President?
I'd like to nominate Jeannie Frank for that position.
So moved. May I please have a second for the nomination?
Second.
Seconded. Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of this nomination, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. The motion carries. Congratulations, President Frank.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so we will move on now to the position of the Vice President. I need a nomination, please.
I'd like to nominate Pat Bebock.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, I need a second for Pat Bebock as Vice President.
Support.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, congratulations, Mrs. Bebock.
Thank you.
Now I need a nomination for the office of the Treasurer. I would like to nominate Karen Cedar. Are there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none. Do I have a second for Mrs. Cedar?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, congratulations, Mrs. Cedar. And now I need a nomination for the office of the Secretary.
I would like to nominate Todd Distelrath.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, need a second for Mr. Disarath.
So moved.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, congratulations, Todd, Secretary. Great, thank you. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is items of interest, recognition, and inquiry. Board of Education members, does anybody have anything?
I'd like to give a shout out to Lori Hannon, the art teacher who had one of her pictures being used on a billboard up at, I think it's the Marysville exit in '94. It got chosen and it's
Oh,
up on a
nice.
billboard. So congratulations to Lori Hannon.
Oh, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Okay, Mrs. Ibula?
Thank you and good evening. First of all, congratulations to all the board members. Thank you for your service. And I also just wanted to take a minute. We have a pretty special student athlete by the name of Derek Distelrath from St. Clair High School, who is a tennis and basketball player. He is also the son of Todd and Laura Distelrath, and he has been selected as a finalist for the MHSAA Scholar Athlete Award. This is a pretty impressive award, and so as one of our scholar athletes, we want to make sure and mention him. So congratulations to the Distelrath and to Derek.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item is our special recognition for school board members.
Good evening, everybody. January 2022 has been declared School Board Member Appreciation Month. The East China School District is fortunate to have this group of devoted individuals serving as our Board of Education. The members of this board serve without compensation, just for the glory. They commit their time and personal resources in support of our students, staff, parents, and the school community. At this time, I'd like to recognize each board member according to their years of service. President, Mrs. Jeannie Frank, 9 years. Vice President, Mrs. Pat Bebuck, 7 years. Secretary, Mr. Todd Distorath, 7 years. Trustee, Mrs. Lynn Griefor, 5 years. Trustee, Mrs. Karen Cedar, 3 years. Trustee, Mr. Michael Westrick, 3 years. And Trustee, Mrs. Lindsay Chop, 1 year. In recognition of their significant efforts and dedication to the board, a book has been donated to each school's media center in that board member's name. These books are over here. Mrs. Sybula will pass those out when we take our picture, I believe. So on behalf of the East China School District, thank you to each board member for your service to the school community. We appreciate you.
Thank you. All right.
You guys really thought about who should get what one? Trustee. Thank you. Okay.
Pass those two down. Longest storm.
Thank you.
Craig's coming to take your photo with your book. You want to come down here? Sure.
Thank you for that. It's always interesting to see the books that are going out to all the schools. It's a
fun.
neat gesture. Okay, so next item is our consent agenda, and a motion is needed for the approval of minutes of the regular Board of Ed meeting on December 13th, 2021, our special board meeting on January 12th, 2022, the approval of the payment of bills, financial statement, schedule of investments.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Motion carries. Okay, so we will move on to our next item, which is recognition of persons wishing to address the board. This portion of the agenda is for citizens to address any questions or comments to the board. The board's policy is to listen, take comments and questions under advisement, but we can't respond at this time. However, someone will be in touch with you with an answer to your concerns. Please try and limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. And my first card is Sean Jazanowski.
I'm the president of the East China Education Association. I have my Oscar speech, sorry. On behalf of the East China Education Association, I would like to thank the members of our Board of Education for your leadership and commitment to our students, staff, and the community. We appreciate you and the work you do for our East China School District. Happy Appreciation Month.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean, for what you do.
That was kind of you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, our next card is Lauren Martin.
Hello, thank you for giving me the time to speak tonight. Okay. Drop off medical supplies, mystery reader, volunteer in the classroom, help a teacher, pop popcorn, Santa shop, eat lunch with our children, field day, well visits, checking in on them, Halloween parades, Christmas parties, birthday celebrations, Valentine's Day parties, book fair, PTO fundraisers, daddy-daughter dance, parent-teacher conferences, dances, family fun night, activity night, read to the class, give tests, play games in the hallway, practice math facts, work in small groups, reading intervention, watch dogs, STEM projects, picnics, field trips, after-school enrichment program, reading groups, Lego club, PTO decorating teachers' rooms, doors, hallways, Christmas concerts, graduation ceremonies, prom, end-of-the-year celebrations, muffins with mom, donuts with dad, Mother's Day party, pickup from school, band concerts, choir concerts, ice cream socials, bring in snacks and treats, mom-to-mom sales, craft shows, swamp shop, bus driver appreciation breakfast, teacher appreciation luncheon, computer lab helper, library helper, resource room helper, IEP reviews, dropping off lunch or supplies, Try It Tuesday. It's been 2.5 years since our children have been able to experience any of these things, with the exception of a couple that have slowly or minimally been implemented back in this year. These experiences give our children hope, excitement, and happiness. They give them something to look forward to, and at a time where they need these things most, you continue to deny them. Now, I understand your hands are tied. I understand the staff does not feel comfortable with parent volunteers being allowed into schools right now, but it still doesn't change the circumstances we are in. It doesn't change the fact that kids are missing out on these opportunities to connect and experience school in a different way. Not only do the kids miss out, but the parents do too. Parents use these opportunities to interact and get to know other kids in the class. They use these opportunities to make connections and create safe places with other students. They are able to meet staff and create relationships with them as well. We want to know and experience what it's like for our children to spend most of all of their childhood at, and who it's with. I feel like I have been completely absent in my children's school life for almost 3 years. I don't even know who half the kids are that my 7-year-old plays with every single day, and I'm not okay with that. My mother told me today that this is the world we live in, that the district is making it very clear that they have zero intentions of letting parent volunteers into schools again now or in the near future, that I need to learn how to just accept it, even though I don't like it. And I'm sorry, but I don't believe that. We have a choice and an opportunity to do things differently than we are right now, differently than we have been doing for the almost 3 years. Parents have been begging and pleading to be let back in the school. I think it's time you start allowing them back in. It's time you start giving our children these moments to look forward to again. And when East China School District staff feels comfortable, I will be here more than ready to actively participate in my child's daily lives at school.
Thank you. Jessica Holcomb.
Hi, thank you for letting us address the board. I didn't prepare a lot, I just have a couple things written down, so if I'm kind of all over the place, I apologize. But I just want to say, myself and a lot of parents have been coming here for months. It's almost been a year now since we've been coming here, or myself personally. And, we've just been begging and pleading, please let us back into the schools. Like, the kids have the same germs that we have. We want to be in there. And just like what Lauren said, our kids are missing out on so much. It's not fair to them. We've been patiently waiting. Ms. Saibula said, come January, we'll reevaluate the issue and, maybe parents will be let back in. Well, apparently that's not going to happen. Ms. Saibula let out that most of the teachers do not want the parents at the schools. So I have a couple questions for you guys. One is that, was all of the teachers surveyed or polled on this information, or is that just a couple select people that is representing the rest of them? And I also think that, especially in the younger childhood, like elementary schools, a lot of the teachers there do want the help. And these kids are missing out on Christmas parties, Halloween parties, all these other things, lunch with mom and whatever, and it's just sad for them. My next question is, did you board members get to vote on this at all? Because we've been here month after month after month begging and pleading with you board members about this same issue. If you didn't get to vote on it, why not? What are you here for? You are our elected officials. What are you doing then if just listening to us complain and moan and not doing anything about it? Why don't you have a say in this? And second, if you did vote on it, I'd like to know who voted what. I just want to hit on the mental health of our kids. You know, as you guys all know, we've been here talking about this too, and it's no surprise that the mental health in this whole country is diminishing. These kids are losing out on opportunity after opportunity, and you guys are allowing them to be losing out on even more. They should be able to have their parents come for a Halloween party or a Christmas party or a concert that they do or whatever that they're doing. We should be allowed to be in there. And like I said earlier, they have the same germs as we do. And I do find it very ironic that the only things that you guys are allowing are after-school programs that the parents have to pay to get into. As I recall, we did just pass a large bond, and a lot of us parents pay a lot of taxes to be in this very great school. I moved from a different city to come here just because of the schools, and I feel like you guys are letting us down as a school board. I also feel like a lot of these same parents who are being kicked out of the schools have fought tooth and nail to get that bond passed, and now that it's passed and you guys are getting your funds, it's just like, well, let's just kick you guys out of the schools. The kid, we don't need you anymore. That's how I feel like. A lot of kids, I know that you might have already known this with the last couple years with COVID, that a lot of parents have been pulling their kids from the schools. This is going to continue, especially with the Board of Education, the Michigan Board of Education supporting now CRT in all of our schools. I'm just letting you guys know, if you don't take a stance, you're gonna lose more and more kids. Also, with the transparency of this board, we email. I'll get a little, oh, thank you for your email from Miss Frank. I've never heard from any of the other of you. Miss Saibula will call back. She doesn't like to email because she doesn't want what she says on record, I don't believe. But we're sick of being kicked out of the schools. The CRT needs to go. I do not need people, teachers, teaching my children how to be racist. We're not racist in my home. I do not appreciate that. I do not think one race is superior to another race. And as Martin Luther King Jr. says, people need to be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Thank you.
Noah Holcomb?
I'm Noah Holcomb, in 4th grade at Gearing Elementary. I'm 9 years old. Thanks for letting me speak. I think we should let parents back in the schools. I loved when my mom would come to our parties and talk with me. We had concerts and it was fun to sing to the people. It makes me upset that I cannot do that anymore. It makes me happy when my mom comes to eat lunch with me. It makes me feel special, but the schools took that away from me. I won't be able to ever get the time back that I lost. Please let the parents back into the schools. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Noah. Sean Treadaway?
President Frank, members of the board, Ms. Ibola, thank you. I wanted to start out on a positive note. My girls have been home for, just close to a month now. They attempted the masks, didn't work. A couple of reasons that we don't need to get into, but I just want to give a shout out to both my daughter's teachers. They've been super helpful, sending the schoolwork home. We've gone and picked it up, and it's actually it's worked out quite well. But through that, we've learned something. I see their smiles every day when I get home now. I don't come home to tired, closed little eyes, not wanting to do homework, just wanting to relax. I get home now and the schoolwork's all done and they want to go play. And our first grader, I'm rambling, I usually script it, but tonight I'm going to ramble. our first grader struggled with reading last year through virtual and then again at the beginning of the school year. She was given one of the reading assistants in class, and she seemed to be doing better, but then kind of fell off again. But guess what happened this month? She's reading, and she's reading well, and she's doing good. She doesn't have that pressure, I guess. Directly from, so shout out to the two teachers, appreciate it. But directly on the East China page, it says the East China School District will work in partnership with parents, students, and the community to ensure that every child will learn successfully. What are we doing right now? We're locking parents out. We're hiding behind whatever we may be hiding behind. I don't care whether it's the Teachers Union, the National Association of School Boards, the Michigan Association of School Boards, who choose to treat and label passionate parents as domestic terrorists, which this school still belongs to, both of those entities. But you know, as we're going through our little thing at home now with the kids, I'm learning their little quirks and tricks and trades and everything that we're enjoying. Did my first homeschool seminar on Sunday, actually yesterday. Geez, I'll lose my days. And I met dozens of wonderful people, wonderful educators, at-home educators. A lot of them don't even call it homeschool, they call it home education. And we're making our move in that direction. I guess my question here tonight is, what does the public school provide my daughters that we can at home now? Think about it. Thank you.
Dan Trudeau.
Hello, everyone. I came here to speak tonight. This is I don't usually wade into public debates outside of the bond thing I had done before, because for one thing, I know when it comes to like what they were talking about, what's going on and stuff like that, a lot of it's out of your hands. I get that. So I guess I don't want anything to be construed as a criticism to the people sitting here who have to go through some hard, tough stuff and make some tough decisions. However, when it comes to the public forum, I believe that this debate's been a little lopsided, and I wanted to come here and speak to the other side of it. Because 2 years into the COVID crisis, or 2.5, or however far we are into it right now, I just feel compelled to speak. Now, there's a lot of talk about rights and stuff like that, but rights come with responsibilities. That's what our society was formed on. You can't have one without the other. And as my old government teacher at Marine City High School used to say, you can swing your arms till you hit someone. Now I'm bringing this up because I've heard a lot of talk about rights when it comes to specifically to, say, the mask mandate. And my concern is that a mask mandate has been proven it's about responsibility, not rights. COVID's a dangerous transmittable disease. This strain may be more, spreadable, but less severe than others. It's still a disease that can continue to risk people's lives, especially at-risk people. And I'm not so much talking about house lockdowns, things like that. I'm specifically talking about something like masks. Because I've seen people say, my kids, my body, my choice, and stuff like that. But the problem is, the decisions we make when there's a disease like this don't just affect you and your kids. It's not just your body, your choice, because it's not just yours. You're spreadable, you affect other people, you swing your arms, you hit people. Now, this doesn't mean I think we should surrender everything to government and say, you just take care of us or anything like that. But I'm not talking about forcing vaccinations, shutting down businesses, locking ourselves in our homes. I'm talking about putting on a mask. And I don't think a mask mandate in any way, shape, or form is surrendering ourselves to the government. I mean, last I checked, by that logic, if I wanted to send my kid with a shirt with obscene language to school, or say, yeah, you don't have to wear pants today, I should be able to do it, because none of those things actually have a direct and immediate consequence on the other students, but I don't think any of us are going to stand up and argue that I have the right to send them that way. This does have a direct and immediate consequence. And I just don't see it as the point of no return other people are saying it is. I've heard from a lot of people about how wearing masks doesn't help or sometimes makes it worse or things like that. And I understand there's special exceptions to this, and I think they should be afforded every exception, every possible exemption, what have you. However, the scientific consensus says that the masks help significantly. I mean, you can find doctors, biologists, scientists who say otherwise, because that's how science works. Nothing is unanimous. And unless you're an expert in the field yourself, you're not saying you believe the contrary opinion based on facts or anything like that. You're just saying it's the opinion I like more. Our health department has a responsibility to follow the scientific consensus to make decisions. And if they make decisions outside of the scientific consensus, it means that they're opening themselves up to their own prejudices, fears, and things like that to create dangerous situations. And I know it's also the job of the school to follow the mandates from the county. And again, it's the health department's function, it's your function, it has to go together, because that's how things work when it comes to responsibility. Now, there are numerous staff and students, including my wife who teaches first grade, who are very vulnerable to this disease. And when I hear people talk about how wearing masks violates their rights and their rights as parents, what I'm hearing is that they're saying that the health and well-being of their at-risk students, at-risk staff, and things like that comes second to their feelings. My entire life, I have been hearing complaints all the time about how we're raising our kids to be wimps. To be too sensitive, but at the same time, people turn around and tell me that wearing a mask is this horrible burden that the kids can't tolerate. I know there are some people, again, who legitimately can't wear a mask, and I say, roll out the red carpet, do whatever you can for them. But it's important to weigh the impression that our actions make on our kids and what we're teaching them. Protesting about things like masks, we're not teaching them to fight for their rights. We're teaching them that they only have to uphold their responsibilities if it's easy and they feel like it. That no one else matters, and that's not a recipe for freedom. I've been hearing people throw around the Ben Franklin quote, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty or safety." And I agree with that. And the way I can still say this is because wearing a mask is not a violation of our essential freedoms or essential liberties. In fact, Franklin was an early leader in the sort of efforts like this during things like cholera pandemic, influenza pandemics, things like that in Pennsylvania. He actually led these sort of efforts. So I don't want to talk about violating the rights of the Constitution. It doesn't really enter into this, but I would rather follow the actual actions of that founding father who once said, "An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of the cure." Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trell. Okay. Next item on our agenda is the bond 2020 discussion and action items.
Excuse me,
I'm sorry?
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I just got in, I was late, I'm making dinner, and if I could just do a few minutes.
I'm sorry, but your card has to be in before the meeting starts. Sorry. Okay, maintenance building renovations.
Kirk is up.
Kirk?
Good evening, everyone. In regards to maintenance building renovations, at last month's board meeting, the overhead door and cement contractors were approved for the maintenance building repairs. We are now seeking approval for the final two trades groups. They are the lighting and the framing contractors. Once again, the lowest bidder is being recommended for each trade group. The detailed list of all the bids and the above recommendation is included in your board book. Are there any questions? No?
Does anybody have any questions?
Okay, thank you.
So a motion is needed for the Board of Education to approve the bids by Elkhorn Construction Company in the amount of $15,000 and Brenner Electric in the amount of $10,900 to complete maintenance building renovations.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Next item on our agenda is our information and discussion items. Our 2021-22 budget revision. Mrs. Gleason.
Good evening. My name is Angie Gleason, and I am the Director of Finance for East China School District. And I am here to present our amended budget for this school year, 21-22. We refer to it as our R1, Revision 1. So I wanted to go real quick through the budget process, just as a reminder of the steps it takes us through the year. I was here in May and spoke about our R2 budget, our final budget, of how we thought we would end the year. And then at the same time presented the original budget for this school year, for our 21-22 school year. What is important to remember, I guess, to point out is that, since then we've had audited financials come through, which is the center column here. And at the time of the R1 in the original budget, we were anticipating a fund balance of $1,124,572. And let's see, right in here. And then when our audited financials came through, we actually had more of a surplus that made our fund balance $6,671,977. So, obviously what's a little bit different here is this is what was presented as the original budget based on these numbers, leaving us at a 7.02% fund balance. When we move forward and look at the amended in the original budget, that number is changed to our actual audited numbers. So the fund balance on the original budget is going to show a little higher, closer to 10%, where we were at. Okay. So at present, our current 21-22 school year, our buildings are open and operational. And those buildings consist of 4 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, 3 high schools, an administrative building, our performing arts center, and then our maintenance and transportation buildings. And then this year we were also able to offer 100% virtual opportunity through the East China Virtual Academy, which we currently have 77 students. And again, I shouldn't say currently, that is actually as of the fall count day. And then also at present, our foundation allowance increased $355 per student. The membership blend went back to 90-20, and I'll explain that a little bit more on an upcoming slide. And then we were awarded an ESSER 2 grant. It's federal dollars. The amount of that grant was $1,541,186. With that award, we put together a plan that includes educational support materials for learning loss and social emotional support, as well as an increase in instructional substitute teacher pay. Now, the ESSER 2 funds are included in this Revision 1. And then also, we have an intentional maintenance of fund balance levels to keep us in line with other districts, where we should be with the state. And then last but not least, I wanted to note my little asterisk here. We have been allocated ESSER 3 dollars. I'm sure many have heard of ESSER 3 being spoke about. Our plan is under review. It is not to the point that we can include it in the budget. The plan has not been approved, along with every other district in the state. I anticipate our ESSER 3 to be included in our Revision 2 for this current school year, though. Okay, so when we go through our original budget, that was in May. That's prior to the final decisions from the state when it comes to our funding. So a lot of assumptions are made, and our three main ones at this year for the original budget were pupil membership, foundation allowance, and instructional staffing. So our pupil membership assumption was that we were going to be down 238 students based on that 90-10 blend, which again I'll get into a little bit more detail. We actually ended with a decrease of 143 students. Our foundation allowance assumption was an increase of $140. We actually came out with an increase of $355. And then our instructional staffing, we plan on the reduction of our virtual teachers, and where we actually ended was with 15 retirements and 8 new instructional staff hires. Okay, so this is my colorful fall count historical data. It's a lot of information, but I think it serves a really good purpose. This is the document. This is our actual fall count numbers. So this is what we use to come up with our estimated pupil count that would be used in the blend. So the main portion of this is these are our actual numbers from the fall count right here in this column. And when we were estimating our numbers, we took the 2021 numbers, graduated them to the next year. We estimated our kindergarten number at 240, where we actually came in at 265 kindergartners, so a little bit ahead of what we anticipated. Now, we did anticipate it to be a little bit higher because the prior year was a little bit lower because people kept their kids home. Not obviously all, but a handful. We expected a little bit higher than normal. And then so with the advance of each of our grades and the addition of kindergarten, the graduation of our prior year seniors, that left us with a fall head count of 3,803 students, which again, our estimated number was 3,647. So we did see increases in each of the grades. That is the variance here in this last column that shows where we were from the year prior. And then the last thing that I want to point out on this, just as I did with the opening budget, is our current 7th grade is really where our class numbers start to stabilize. Our 7th grade through kindergarten average about 250 students per grade, and our 12th through 8th grade average 350 students a grade. So again, once that 7th grade hits their senior year, we'll start to see some stabilization. At least our current numbers are showing that. So, and then so we've taken the numbers, the actual count, and dropped it in. This is where the super blend comes in, or our 90-10 blend that we're currently at. So at the original budget time here, we had our estimate number, and how that calculation is done is they take 90% of your fall count and 10% of the spring count of that same calendar year and come up with the total, and that's where you're going to see our 238,000 student down or decrease that we had anticipated. And then when we take our actual count for the fall and drop it into the calculation, here's where the 90% came from. Of course, the same 10% is used, leaving us at 3,804 students, which again is a decrease of 142 students from the prior fiscal year. And then last but not least, this is the actual head count data for the last few years. I did want to show this. I think it's important that our 5-year average, we're within 15 students from our budgeted number to our actual fall count. And then again, the chart here on the right that depicts those numbers does show that gradual decrease in enrollment that we're going to show for the next few years. Okay. All right, here's our foundation allowance. This chart shows just the historical number for our foundation allowance per pupil. As you can see, the last 2 years stayed the same, and then we did show that increase of $355 per student for this year. Okay, and here's where we are today at our amended budget. So that is this blue section here. I think the biggest thing to note at this is that, our revenues, $44,239,519. We've set expenditures at $44,129,634. We're almost at a balanced budget, leaving $109,885 to add to our fund balance. Leaving that little surplus, that leaves us at 15.37% for our fund balance. Now, what I wanted to note, just as Curtis McBride shared the Michigan numbers, there we go, right here. All Michigan school districts data that was reported, it's the 1920 data. All of the final year end numbers weren't in at the time that this was pulled. So we're right in line with all the other school districts in the state at 15.89 is their average. And then if you pull the section that we're comparable to, we fall in the 3,500 to 3,999 student range. Their average is 13.75%, so we're just a couple percent points higher than districts our size. Okay, so now we'll jump into a breakdown. This is revenues by source. There's four main sources of our revenue: local, state, federal, and other. I wanted to speak to the state that shows the biggest variance of $2,408,790. When we break that down a little bit further, that if we follow the yellow arrow down to here, there's three more sections within that. The first one is our foundation allowance net of our taxes. So the foundation allowance is what I've been talking about, the $8,700 per student times our pupil membership. And what the state sends us monthly is that number less our operating millage that we collect from our taxpayers. And that's collected from our non-homestead properties. So we do see an increase there, but again, that again is the difference from what we're collecting from our local. We're collecting a little bit less than last fiscal year, so again, the foundation allowance from the state will make up for that. And then the next line item within the breakdown of the state is the MIPSR's 147C, and those really net the difference in our expenditures when it comes to our staff's retirement benefits. So we'll see that in the expenditures again moving forward. Okay, and so here's the expenditures broke down by function. They are industry-wide. They're broke down into those three types: salary benefits, purchase services, supplies and repairs, capital, and other. And again, the blue section here is what we have budgeted. And you're going to see the largest increase in our salary and benefits. I'm proud to say that all four of our collective bargaining units did receive some increases this last negotiation. The purchase services is the next largest section, and those are items like our custodial services, our transportation services, maintenance, like lawn maintenance and such. Those are all contracted services, purchase services that would be included in that section there. So, okay. And then last but not least, this is the history of our fund balance, 20-year history to be exact. As you can see down here, the 15.37 is where our R1, our revision 1 for the year, leaves us. Again, right in line with where we should be with the state. So that concludes my portion. Are there any questions on our R1?
I have a couple.
Okay.
Can you go back to the last slide, please?
Sure.
So I have a general concern, or I'd like to understand a little bit better.
Mhm.
So we're at about 44 mil this year,
Mhm.
which is significantly higher than 2014-15.
Mhm.
And, you know, despite reduced student enrollment, closures, cuts, privatizing things,
Mhm.
I'm having a hard time understanding how that number keeps rising.
Okay. Well, we are a nonprofit that has to budget our dollars that we receive, and inflation alone, 3% since 2013 or 14. Actually, I think I went back to 2016, and inflation on 2016 at 3% is about 1.2 million. So even as simple as if we add 1.2 million each year, would have put us at closer to 46 million. So, I mean, we're in line with our expenditures match the revenues that we're receiving. Now, keep in mind, we are receiving one-time allotments of federal grants that we won't see, or to my knowledge, won't see after ESSER 3. So do I anticipate a reduction in our expenditures in the next few years? Yes.
So as an organization, we're comfortable with that 44 number, adding inflation onto it every year, not expecting it to go down.
Well, we have to budget our expenditures to the revenue we receive, right? I mean,
I know, I was kind of hoping that we were going to say we're allocating this amount of funding here, there, to share with the community.
oh,
where the
which
funding-
services?
Yeah.
And okay.
That was kind of my hope.
Okay, well, I mean, let's see here. Go ahead.
If I could just answer a little bit as far as staffing is concerned. For this year alone, because of a lot of the grant funding that we were able to receive and some of the other things that we were able to do, we have added to our staff to address the student learning loss and some of the social emotional needs that we know our students have endured over the last couple years. So overall with our staffing, I know we talked about instructional staffing a few minutes ago. That was addressing classroom teachers. But beyond classroom teachers, this year with the funding that we have, we were able to hire 5 new social workers, 2 academic interventionists, 3 new elementary resource room teachers, and an elementary ECVA teacher. So with that additional funding, we are doing a lot for our kids, knowing that we have this struggle that they are all facing. And sorry, my throat's sore today, that we're all facing. And so with those additional supports and the additional learning materials and curriculum materials that we are able to purchase, we will address a lot of the deferred needs of our students as well as the deferred needs of some of our buildings and our facilities. So we are able to accomplish a lot more with this budget than we have in previous years. And so we're really proud of the fact that we have this additional staff, and so that we will have the ability to address some of the things that the parents were concerned about this evening with the mental health issues of the students. And so I just wanted to
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the addition of staff. I just think it's worthwhile to share with people, what we're spending that additional money on.
Will we be able to afford them again for next year?
The funding is right now, the grant funding is through next year, and then it is our hope with the bond being able to defer some of the other maintenance costs that we are then able to use those for the staff as well.
All right, thank you.
So for that per pupil increase, is that like to hire the staff, or is that going to go somewhere else? Okay. And then I had another question about the ESSER funds, because I know they're federally tied. Is there anything with COVID relief in there that?
I mean, it's all COVID relief dollars, like the addition of Tier 1 curriculum, the addition of replacing textbooks that haven't been replaced in years.
Okay.
It is all addressed.
I guess specifically like anything with stipulations for vaccination sites at the schools and things like that
No.
that are happening.
Oh, tied
No,
to
you
that.
mean tied to the
No.
dollars? No,
No.
just a plan, an instructional plan that we
Okay.
need to provide in order to have the funds allocated.
Correct. I'm sorry, I missed
Oh,
that.
that's good. No, thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions? Yeah. So the ending fund balance and the audited fund balance were significantly different, but I think I figured it out. It's because of the ESSER funds. were added
Absolutely.
in. After we heard it in May, then we got the
Yep.
money. Okay.
Yep.
And the note about Marysville, what does that mean?
Yeah, so I had noted in the board packet, the local dollars, the local funds that we receive, that we showed an increase because of a Chrysler IFT. So the Chrysler property that it's in St. Clair Township, annexed to the city of Marysville. So we receive the funds because it's still within our district boundaries. The Chrysler property had been granted a tax abatement, and industrial property tax abatements must be approved by both local and state levels. And then once that's approved, the firm, in this case being the Chrysler plant, pays a industrial facilities tax, that's the IFT I had referred to, instead of property tax. And then that reflects the abatement savings, the IFT does. This agreement had expired, and so it's requiring them to now pay the full property taxes that were initially set for the value of their property.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, our next item is our bond 2020 update.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me again. A lot's been going on out there, as you can see when you drive in and see the addition on the early childhood side, and then the large new wing for the Innovation Center. Over in the early childhood center, you can see we put some of the temporary enclosures in some of the windows. We're getting ready to put some temporary heat in there to prepare to pour the slab on grade for the concrete there. We've been installing a lot of the plumbing, electrical, and HVAC infrastructure up at the ceiling cavity up there. And again, hopefully pretty soon we'll be pouring that slab on grade. We want temperatures to climb a little bit more, but we got to heat that space up and pull the frost out of the ground because that's what you have to do to build it correct. Over on the Innovation Center side, you can see that a lot of the masonry is complete. We'll have some architectural masonry to go on the exterior building, but we're going to wait for warmer temperatures for that. Metal stud framing has gone in, along with some of the sheathing. The spray foam insulation is being applied, along with a lot of those metal brackets that you see that are horizontal on the building. That is right up next to the insulation. Metal panels then get attached to that, and that's going to be your aesthetic feature there. So you have the metal panels on the outside, the insulation between the black wall and the metal panels. Window framing is going in, and it won't be long before the roof starts to go on, and the MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing infrastructure starts to go in that ceiling space. And towards the end of February, early March, we'll be preparing to pour the slab on grade in there for the concrete in there. And then last but not least, in about the next 5 to 6 weeks is when we start the renovation of this existing space down over here and start sprucing this up a little bit too. So we got a lot of work ahead of us, but things are going really well. Any questions?
I have just a general question.
Sure.
Why did you guys choose to put an inverted roof on the...
Inverted roof?
Yeah, you know, like...
Oh.
You know,
the steel sloping, okay, so that's not, that is a low sloped roof. So you shape the steel so it comes down to a low point right where the roof conductors and the roof drains in the roof go to help steer the water where it's got to go. And the steel is sloped, it's more economical to do that than it is to buy a whole bunch of insulation and stack it up on the roof at the high points and slope the insulation. Insulation's very expensive these days. So, yeah, that's intentional. It's a low slope roof. It's very, very, very common way that we do a lot of schools. The architects design it that way, and I haven't built one that hasn't been that way in quite a long time. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just wondering.
Okay.
I think it's, just seems a little unusual to invert a roof in Michigan, but, for snow and that sort of thing. I was just curious.
Okay. Any other questions? That is a good question. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Okay, our next item is our internet service and leased lit fiber connections bid. Mr. Headley?
I can see you. I can't see you. I can see you. I can't see you. Good evening, everybody. Just real quick, something that's in your board packet. Tonight I'm going to give you information on a bid we recently opened, and then next month it'll be an action item. So we're at the end of our current 3-year agreement. There's 2 important things that we need to run this district. One is internet access and internet service. And the other one is we need fiber optic cable that connects all of our buildings together. What's nice is both of those things that we bid out at the beginning of January are USF eligible for discounts. So at the end of this contract in June 30th, we got to have something in place. We have to abide by all the USF contract or USF bidding requirements, contract requirements. We got to have a contract in place by March 22nd. So early in December, we put this bid out for those 2 services. We opened the bid on January 5th. And you can see in your board packet some of the things that we asked for. Broadband internet access, 10 gigabit data paths, which is the fiber optic cable, and things that we may not know about, which is domain name services, internet address services, some public IP address services. But one of the most important parts of this is we also asked for a firewall, which is the spot that separates us, the district, from the public internet. Those can get very expensive and hard to manage. So sometimes we don't know what's going to happen with these bids. We might get 1, we might get 2, we might get 3 over the years. I've got up to 3 bids. We're excited. I got 2 bids for this from 2 very good companies. Excuse me. So 2 companies responded, and so we analyzed them both, and then we have to use some metrics based on the Universal Service Fund, but we came up with the Community Educational Network, or CEN, came in with least expensive, met all the requirements. We like their system. They are our current provider. And the one thing that they do and they offer per this bid is a content filter. Content filter meaning that is the equipment, again, between us and the public internet. Content filter is to filter out all of the bad websites that we don't want to see or want to come in. So they offer that as a free service because that is not USF eligible. So they came in and it's less than what we're paying now at $123,600 per year. And again, you'll see that I put in there it's currently $2.70 per student per month, which how it works out. And then we'll get 60% off that cost each year. So it's a pretty good deal. Any questions? Wait, let me see.
Thanks, Craig, for
All
all
right.
you do.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Craig. Thank you. Okay, our next item is resolution approving ballot language for the sinking fund. Ms. Fibula?
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I'm here to talk to you about the East China School District Sinking Fund Renewal for 2022. Just as a little background information, the sinking fund, a school district sinking fund is a millage levied to support school safety improvements in the repair and construction of school buildings. It is a pay-as-you-go system that does not require borrowing money or paying interest. A sinking fund can levy up to a maximum of 3 mills for a period of 10 years. Mr. Headley, if you could go forward 1 slide. There we go. Thank you. The East China School District Sinking Fund Renewal will, if approved this evening, will be on the ballot for May 3rd of 2022. And the reason that board action is required this evening is due to the deadline for filing for the election, which is February 8th at 4 p.m. Again, this is a renewal for the East China School District Sinking Fund. There is not an increase. The levy, as it currently is 0.4 mills. And the real cost of that is $20 a year, $20 a year for a home that has a market value of $100,000. And again, this is renewed every 10 years. and it will generate about approximately $826,000 annually. Previously, it was closer to $660,000 annually, but with a 2.43 increase in property values, it gets us to the 826. Now, this next slide may bring back some memories for you because it does for me. I used it in every single Bond 2020 presentation that I did throughout our communities in order to show where we were in comparison with other school districts in their millage and levies. And one of the things, and the reason that I brought it back this evening to show you, is that during those bond presentations, I was always intentional about pointing out that part of our millage included the sinking fund, the 0.4 mils. So if you see where East China is the two columns on the left, the one just to the right there, the 3.58, is where we predicted that our levy would be at this time. But I am happy to say that we ended up in a better position. We are now levying for the first year of the bond 2.64 mils, and adding the 0.4 mils for the renewal of the sinking fund will get us to 3.08 mils instead of 3.58. So we're in a better position there. So some of the sinking fund projects, the most recent major expenditures for our sinking fund included. I wanted to share some examples with you. I won't read them all, but you can see that they're major repairs throughout our school district. So a surge tank replacement at St. Clair Middle School and St. Clair High School and Marine City High School pools, boiler repairs, HVAC controls at both our high schools, stadium turf replacement down at our stadium, which was a promise made to our community when this levy was renewed last time, boiler retubing, renovation of kids' connections rooms, the Marine City Middle School track and field breachers, emergency catch basin repairs, and some domestic hot water heater replacements. So all things that if we did not have our sinking fund would be coming out of those general fund dollars that Mrs. Gleason was talking to you about earlier, and we would reduce that that budget and that sinking or that fund balance. Now on the next slide, just pointing out real quickly the importance of supporting this renewal of our sinking fund, because again, we just passed that big bond initiative allowing us to make improvements to all of our facilities, and we want to be able to protect that. We want to support and sustain the model of the district's building and facilities. We want to continue to provide our students a safe, secure, healthy environment. We want to reduce that pressure on our general fund so more of our school district's limited educational operating funds are available to support student learning, like Mrs. Demick pointed out earlier, and all of those staff members that we've been able to add to support our students' learning. A funding source for emergency repairs, continue to upgrade our athletic facilities across the district as needed, and reduce unscheduled shutdowns. All of those boilers I listed earlier, if those weren't able to be repaired, we may be in a spot where we would need to close schools for a period of time. Now, the ECSD Sinking Fund resolution, again, will be on the May 3rd, 2022 ballot. And it reads, board members, if you could follow along with me, Exhibit A is the actual language, and I'd like to read that to you now. The East China School District Sinking Fund Millage Renewal Proposal. This proposal will allow the school district to continue to levy the building and site sinking fund millage that expires with the 2022 levy. Shall the currently authorized millage rate of 0.3992 mil, which may be assessed against all property in East China School District, St. Clair County, Michigan, be renewed for a period of 10 years, 2023 to 2032, inclusive to continue to provide for a sinking fund for the construction or repair of school buildings and all other purposes authorized by law. The estimate of the revenue the school district will collect if the millage is approved and levied in 2023 is approximately $826,942.40. This is a renewal of the millage that will expire with the 2022 tax levy. Okay, do you have any questions for me on this renewal? Yes.
The new rules for the sinking fund allow us to do a lot more than they used to. So
Correct.
we can use it for technology.
We won't be able to with this renewal. In order to change the usage of a levy, you need to call it an increase. And so we are only renewing what we previously were levying for. We're not changing it in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
This is what renewal? This is like the second or third renewal? 'Cause
Yes,
we've
as a
had
matter of
this-
fact, I was looking back. We're on, I think this is number 3.
I think it is
Yeah.
as well, and we really need this renewal.
Yep.
We have to make sure that the public knows it's a renewal, it's not an increase.
Correct.
Any other questions?
Any other? Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item, a motion is needed to go into closed session pursuant to Section 8B of the Open Meetings Act, Act 267 of 1976, that being for board discussion connected to the discipline of a student.
So moved. Support.
Okay, we need a roll call. Mrs. Krantz, please.
Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Trustee Western?
Yep.
Secretary Disarray?
Yes.
Treasurer Cedar?
Yes.
Vice President Viva?
Yes.
President Frank?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, well, next time we'll go into closed session. When we come back, we'll have 2 board action items, and then we will adjourn. Thank you.